way, the officer frames filming as though it is some kind of licensed activity, asking whether he has permission, as if recording in a public place requires prior approval. It does not. The law does not operate on a permission-based system for cameras. If you are standing in a public space, you are generally free to record what is visible from that location, including buildings, vehicles, and anything else in plain view. Bringing up number plates or suggesting that uploading footage online suddenly creates a legal restriction shows a misunderstanding of how privacy and data protection laws actually operate.
Just not what's surrounding me, please. Don't go too close to me. I don't like it. You won't be surrounding me. Yeah, you won't be surrounding me, or you won't all walk around me. You're not trying to intimidate.
Quickly, the justification keeps changing. It starts with number plates. Then, once more officers arrive, it suddenly becomes about recording victims. And then the claim shifts again to the station being private property owned by the police. None of those explanations actually create a criminal offense. Publicly accessible. Areas around police stations remain public unless there are clear restrictions such as barriers or signage. Simply filming what can be seen from a public place is lawful under long-established principles of freedom of expression and observation in public spaces. Even the jump to alarm and distress under Section 5 of the Public Order Act requires threatening or abusive behavior likely to cause harassment, alarm, or distress. A person standing with a camera does not meet that threshold.
No, I've got it all on video.
You have to delete the images that you've done as per our instructions, or we'll have to arrest you season 4 and do it ourselves.
And what are you going to arrest me under?
Causing alarm and distress.
Now the situation moves into particularly concerning territory. The officers shift from questioning him to attempting to control the evidence itself, telling him to delete his footage or they will seize the phone and arrest him so they can deal with it themselves. That is not how police powers operate. There is no general power that allows officers to force someone to delete lawful recordings, and arrest cannot be used as a shortcut simply to gain access to someone's device. Even if they attempt to rely on Section 5 of the Public Order Act, that offense targets behavior that is threatening or abusive in a way likely to genuinely disturb or intimidate people, not someone calmly holding a camera outside a public building. At this point, it begins to look less like enforcement and more like an attempt to make inconvenient footage disappear.
It's a public order, mate.
There is a public order.
Explanation shifts again, this time moving to the idea that filming parked police vehicles somehow creates a security risk. That is a considerable stretch. Police vehicles parked outside a station are visible to anyone walking past, driving by, or even viewing the area through online mapping services. Treating a camera as a threat, while the same vehicles remain openly visible, does not carry much weight. What it really demonstrates is that the officers are struggling to attach the situation to something concrete, so the reasoning keeps evolving depending on what sounds most convincing in the moment.
So is Greater Manchester Police owned by you? Who owns Greater Manchester Police then? Who?
Greater Manchester.
Acknowledge that the building is funded by taxpayers. The private property argument begins to unravel. A public institution financed by the public cannot simply be treated like a private clubhouse where officers decide who is allowed to observe from outside. What follows is revealing. Instead of addressing that contradiction, the focus shifts to his tone. Calling someone argumentative is not a legal standard, and it certainly does not create a police power. Members of the public are allowed to question officers, challenge what they are being told, and speak firmly if they believe the law is being misrepresented. Criticism may be uncomfortable, but discomfort is not an offense.
The only issue is, mate, is that apparently 2 people did film that...
The officers attempt to place the burden on him to prove he has done nothing wrong by demanding to see his footage. That is not how policing works. A member of the public is not required to hand over recordings simply to satisfy curiosity or reassure officers that nothing unlawful has occurred. The responsibility lies with the police to first identify an actual offense. The tone of the exchange also begins to slip. Addressing someone as mate while attempting to exercise authority shows how casually the interaction is being handled. However, the most revealing moment is the radio call where the officer asks what he could arrest him for. That statement says everything. Arrest powers are supposed to follow a clearly defined offense and lawful grounds, not a brainstorming session over the radio.
They cannot go on.
This occurs the moment UK Audit continues pressing the one question. The officers seem unwilling to answer, am I detained or can I leave? Instead of resolving it properly, they immediately move to Section 5 and place him in handcuffs. He is taken to Pendleton Police Station, held there for 8 hours, and then released with no charge and no further action. That outcome speaks for itself. If the behavior at the scene had truly met the threshold for a public order offense, it would not have collapsed the moment it reached custody. The update he provides afterwards is also where the story effectively ends. UK Audit explains that he has begun the process of holding the officer accountable for the arrest, but after that, there is no further information because he eventually stopped posting content altogether. What remains clear is how the situation escalated. Officers continued stacking explanations until one of them held long enough to justify taking him away. None of the earlier concerns stood up, so the encounter ends with the most serious step available: arrest. And yet, hours later, there is nothing to show for it. That contrast is the real takeaway: strong authority at the roadside, but no case once the dust settles. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me continue with my independent coverage. Also, don't forget to check out UK Audit. His channel is linked in the description. Show him some support. Thanks for watching. This was Rate the Encounters, and I will see you in the next one.